Hey guys, I'm Monkey back here for another video. I just want to make a quick video real fast to say if you all playing fantasy football, Thomas Rawls is a must pick up for any fantasy league, period. Right now, Christian Michael just got cut from the Seattle Seahawks, guys. That means that they love CJ Procise, and it also means they're ready for Thomas Rawls to come back. Now, Thomas Rawls is going to be probably the first one, the first down, second down ball carrier, and then third down is going to be CJ Procise. But guys, Christian Michael has been cut. It's going to be officially those two players. So definitely, I would recommend at the very least maybe looking at Procise, but also 100% look at Thomas Rawls. If he's in your free agency in any of your leagues, pick him up. It doesn't matter what the circumstance is. I would recommend cutting a lot of people for him because he could be a starting running back down the stretch, and especially with Seattle, where they do like to run the ball a lot. When they can run the ball, they like to run it a lot. Definitely interesting move there. Now, welcome back to another Waiver Wire Pickup Show, guys. Getting started with quarterbacks. Kirk Cousins, obviously, he's a guy that he doesn't have the best matchups, but it seems like that Washington offense gets down the field. They get into scoring opportunities, and that's definitely someone you want to look at. But Colin Kaepernick, although, yeah, you might say he's not that good, he gets 80 rushing yards a game. The man puts up 22 points the last two games, right? In the fantasy playoffs, so that's like week, 14 through 16. That was called my fantasy playoffs is 15-16, but I know some you guys have it at 14. So if you guys do have 14, this is his matchups. Check this out. We have the Jets, the 32nd pass defense, the Falcons, the 30th worst pass defense, and the Rams, the number 29. You're telling me you do not want your quarterback playing against those three matchups. Now, if you play in week 17, get a new league, but he does play Seattle, but don't worry about that. Jets, Falcons, and Rams. Colin Kaepernick might have 30-point weeks every single week in the fantasy playoffs. My phone is just going off like crazy. Okay, yeah. Everyone's going crazy right now, guys, because of the fact that Christian Michael once again got cut. That's crazy. And if you guys do have him in your league, I cut him in my league personally, but I don't know if I would really I needed to cut him because I needed to pick up somebody else. Which, let's go right into the next guy to pick up. Sammy Watkins. I know it's crazy to think about. Well, he's out for the year. No, he's not. He was taken off the IR a couple days ago. What that means is they think he's going to come back and play. And if he does play, he'll take over what Robert Woods is doing right now, except Sammy Watkins actually has talent. I know it's crazy to think about, but he actually has talent. You pick him up off off of waivers. You get him on your squad, stash him, because he could honestly be amazing down the stretch. The Bills, they have some really soft matchups, especially in the fantasy playoffs. So definitely look and pick him up, put him on your bench, and see what he can do. Running backs, Alfred Morris. If Zeke goes down, Alfred Morris is going to get 36 touches a game. Behind that offensive line, he can at the very least, his floor every week would be 12 points. His ceiling could be up to 40 points. And the reason why is because he's already getting the goal line touches now, right? So he's going to get the goal line touches again. I mean, of course, Zeke gets a lot of goal line touches, but I'm saying a lot of times Alfred Morris run the 1 yard line. He would get all the touches that Zeke's getting. Alfred Morris would be a top 5 back if Zeke Elliott goes down. And definitely, in my opinion, was a stash on your team to put him on your bench. See what happens, okay? So, of course, when you're picking up players, it all comes down to you have two different viewpoints when you're picking up players. Are you picking up a player to win now, or are you already in the fantasy playoffs? So, for example, in my league, I think one league I'm 7-3, okay? I'm 7-3, And I'm looking toward the teams. We have someone who's 9-1, 7-3. I think we have another team that's 7-3. We have a team, and then the fourth team I think has like 5 losses. Okay, so I know, okay, that team loses, and another team loses behind them. I might be able to just seal my playoffs right now. And because I'm pretty much sealed in the playoffs, you got to start focusing on week 14 through 16. So, in my league personally, 15 and 16 are the playoffs, right? So, right now, I'm looking at 15 and 16, and I just did it all last night. I was like, who has the best matchups 15 and 16, right? I'm looking through, and I see Sammy Watkins, right? They say he's coming back. He has 2 juicy matchups. If I can, let me see if I can find his matchups real fast. Okay. He plays 15 and 16, and this is just because I have him 15, 16. He plays the Browns and Dolphins. Sorry, he doesn't have a juicy matchup week 16. Dolphins are pretty good. But 15, he plays the Browns, right? So if he can get back and get healthy, he plays the Browns, and the Dolphins aren't that great, let's be honest. So not that great of a defense. They just have a pretty good front 7 because the fact Sue is a monster. But if he can get back to even somewhat healthy, right? He plays the Browns, which we all know is like a 30-point free player for wide receivers. Then he plays the Dolphins, which if they can't run the ball, the Bills, they're just going to have to pass the ball, and Sammy Watkins can get open. So those are what you're going to be wanting to look at. Now he plays the Steelers week 14, which we saw what Zeke did to the Steelers and Dak Prescott and all. Steelers aren't that great of a defense. I mean, they're a decent defense. They have great linebackers. They have great defensive linemen. Don't get me wrong. The cornerbacks, not the best. Mike Mitchell is decent. So the safeties are decent too. It's just, I think that, in all honesty, Sammy Watkins could probably light up a lot of defenders. So if he can get back to healthy or at least 80%, he's definitely worth the risk to take. Now, can you tell me who plays, I believe it's the Browns? Hang on, let's see 1 second. Okay. Let's see. All right. Now, let me tell you these matchups, guys, and you tell me if you love these matchups, okay? Now, you can look at this as a quarterback or wide receiver, right? This quarterback and this wide receiver, these are his matchups in the fantasy playoffs. Ready? Panthers, Raiders, Browns. Now, you're sitting there like, ooh, I really want that quarterback and wide receiver, especially if I can get both. You know, I can get a quarterback wide receiver duo. Oh, my God, who is that? Phillip Rivers, right? And Travis Benjamin. Now, you could also look at, what's his name? Williams, Tyrell Williams for the Chargers. I think if Benjamin can come back, he's going to be that spot. He's going to be the number 1 spot again. And playing the Panthers, Raiders, and Browns. Oh, my God, that's a great matchups. And that definitely, again, if you're already in the playoffs, remember, we're going to get to you guys that aren't in the playoffs yet. Don't worry. Sit tight real fast. We're starting with the people who are already in the playoffs, and now you're worrying about those kind of matchups, right? So, if you're already in the playoffs, we're talking about you. We'll get to the people who are not in the playoffs yet. But the people in the playoffs, again, quarterback, Phillip Rivers. If he's on your free agency, go get him. Colin Kaepernick. If he's on your waivers, whatever, go get him. And then next one we got is wide receivers. We have Sammy Watkins. He's probably on your waivers. Go get him. Travis Benjamin, Tyrell Williams. Those guys, go get them. Alfred Morris. Go get him. Who else do we have? Okay, here's a... I was just putting together my fancy team last night. Tight end wise, Cameron Brate, okay? He plays the Saints in 2 of the 3 games in the fantasy playoffs. So let's say you do play, he plays the Saints, I believe, week 14 and 16, okay? Go get him. Now, if he's not on waivers, or if you can't get him, again, I think the trade deadline is pretty much passed. I think it's the 17th for most leagues, I believe. But if you can't get him, definitely look to I would look for Eric Ebron. If Eric Ebron's on waivers, don't even hesitate. Pick him up. Eric Ebron is great, and now he can catch the ball. Definitely a good pickup for him. Who else we got? I'm just thinking off the top of my head. I'm actually going to look at my league real fast and see who was on waivers, because my league is pretty competitive league, so most of the guys on waivers in my league should be in waivers in most of you guys' league, but I do play NFL.com, guys are all wondering. I do not play ESPN. I will be doing I think I'll be doing ESPN next year, and I will be going to PPR leagues. I'm done with seeing the leagues. But here's another one. Vernon Davis. Now, Vernon Davis doesn't really have the greatest fantasy playoffs. Actually, no, he does. My bad. If you play 15-16 like myself, he plays Carolina and Chicago. Now, some reason Chicago is actually considered good against the tight ends. I think the reason why is because of the fact that they just give up everything else. But Vernon Davis could be a definite add. Lance Kendrick has been coming on the last couple weeks. And yeah, so that's pretty much it. Oh, CJ Fedorowicz, if he's on your free agency or waivers, go definitely look to pick him up. Again, he played Jacksonville and Cincinnati. Great matchups in the fantasy playoffs. Now let's talk about people who aren't in the fantasy playoffs. If you're not in the fantasy playoffs yet, what you're going to have to do is go to waivers and look at the next couple games, okay? Look at the future, and let's talk about defense, okay? We're going to start with defense. You're not in the fantasy playoffs. If you're in the fantasy playoffs, you can actually use this information for defense. We didn't talk about defense, but if you're not or you are, let me introduce you to the New England Patriots defense. Okay? And by that, I mean, let me introduce you to the matchups. San Francisco next week. New York after that. Now, Jared Goff is now officially the starter as of today for the St. Louis Rams. Oh, LA Rams, my bad. He is officially the starter. So, I don't know how that's going to be, but he's a rookie, so he could throw a lot of picks. But then New England goes to play LA Rams. Then they play Baltimore. Yeah, you know how great Joe Flacco is with throwing picks. Then Denver. And then they end the season with New York. I mean, that's a number one defense for the rest of the year. That's a number one defense for the rest of the year. That's just pretty much plain and simple. Number one defense for the rest of the year. All right, let's now get into tight ends. So if you are, having issues right now, and you're like, hey, I'm not in the fantasy playoffs, I'm trying to get there, I'm not there yet. A guy I would recommend picking up, what's it called? Let me see. Probably Vernon Davis. Vernon Davis, especially because of the fact he's getting so many looks, he's getting so many targets, and it looks like Jordan Reed is not the only one in that offense. And he definitely did it against Minnesota. He had a 50 or 60-yard touchdown catch. He definitely could be a very viable option. He plays Green Bay, good matchup. Dallas, bad. Arizona, bad. Philly, bad. But he plays Carolina and Chicago. So, again, he might not actually, those matchups might not be bad. Now, I know you're like, oh, what, the Cardinals, it's awful. But the thing you have to look at is everyone's going to be focusing on Jordan Reed. The reason why he did good against Minnesota and Jordan Reed did nothing, Jordan Reed had 44 yards, is because everyone focused on Jordan Reed. These good defenses are going to focus on Jordan Reed. They're not going to focus on Vernon Davis. They're going to say, oh, Vernon Davis, we'll let you throw to Vernon Davis. We're not letting Jordan Reed beat us. And if that's the case, Jordan Reed is going to be nothing, and Vernon Davis is going to be the best tight end in Washington. So he's definitely a great pickup. I talked about Eric Ebron before. He plays Jacksonville, Minnesota, Saints, Chicago, Giants, and Dallas. I mean, is there anything else to say about the man? If he can catch the ball like he's getting better at, definitely a great pickup. Ladarius Green's a great pickup to have. Let's see. CJ Fedorowicz, definitely a great pickup. Now, let's talk about wide receivers. Now, again, if you need a win this week, this could apply to the rest of the season, but also this week. Kenny Britt now has Jared Goff. He actually has a quarterback now. And although you can give your opinions on if you think Jared Goff is good or not, he plays Miami and then the Saints. So, Miami's not that good against the pass. They are a decent defense, as I said before. But Kenny Britt could easily have a 100-yard game against Miami. And with, Kenny Britt is pretty much, him and Lance Kendricks are the check down options for Case Keenum. And with a rookie quarterback coming in, he could be even a bigger check down option for Jared Goff. And then playing the Saints are the worst defense in the NFL. Especially with the fact that Kenny Britt could light up, he could be a check down option. You could see him getting 16 catches a game. And even if he had 10 yards a catch, he'd have 160 yards and 16 fantasy points in standard leagues, let alone 32 in PPRs. So definitely give Kenny Britt a look if you need a win now. Willie Snead is the next guy I want to talk about. I know a lot of people probably own him and a lot of people probably cut him. I cut him myself. I honestly did. And the reason why is because Michael Thomas has been coming on the last couple, weeks. But the thing you have to look at is they play Carolina this week. Carolina, yeah, it's a great matchup for Willie Snead. And Drew's just going to throw to whoever gets open. And if they maybe can get a chemistry going, maybe last week's 2 touchdowns for Willie Snead can rejuvenate the whole, if we're on the goal line, throw to Willie Snead. Definitely a person to look at. Another person to look at is going to be Tyreek Hill. Now, if I can find him real fast, he's pretty much the running back, wide receiver. He's pretty much Ty Montgomery, but he's in Kansas City. And obviously, he's not going to take away touches from, he's going to get 2 touches a game, right? And with his speed, even though he is a rookie, but his speed, he could easily take those 2 touches, get 20 yards. Bam, you have 2 fantasy points there. Last week, he had 10 catches for 89 yards. He could easily turn, 10 catches. If he can get 10 catches a game, which it looks like he probably will, then he's going to easily get some great fantasy points. And he could average around, his floor, I would say, is about 7 points a game. Which, for a lot of options on the waiver wire, you can't get that. Next guy I want to talk about is going to be Sammy Coates. Now, Sammy Coates, I know he's not been doing good, okay? But this week he plays Cleveland, and I think he can get back on track. After he plays Cleveland, he plays Indy. Yeah, he plays the Colts, right? Colts are awful on defense. Then he plays the Giants. Then he plays Buffalo, Cincinnati. So, although, yeah, it might not. And then he goes back home and play Baltimore, which we all know Ben is the best at home. So, it might not look like the juiciest matchups, but I feel like it definitely could be the juiciest matchups. So, other than that, Taylor Gabriel is an option. He is on bye this week, I think. No, wait. Yeah, he's on bye this week. And then he plays Arizona, KC, LA, San Fran, and Carolina. He's not the best option. He's pretty much just going to, it seems like the last couple weeks, he's just, every single game, they're going to take a deep shot to him. And he's going to catch it or he's not going to catch it. And he's been catching it. So, let's go on to the next one. All right, running backs. Now, if you need a running back for this week, so for week 11, you need a running back. James Starks plays Washington. Now, Washington is pretty good against the run, but what you got to look at is that James Starks is the only running back there. Ty Montgomery, we saw last week, he's not going to be utilized if James Starks is there. So, definitely an option you could go with would be him. Next guy we can look at is going to be, what's his name? Jeremy Langford. If Jordan Howard is hurt, he didn't play all second half of last week's game against Tampa Bay. If he is hurt, honestly, that's just Jeremy Langford gets put in that position for the sure luck that he literally, there's no one else to take the spot. I don't think Kadeem Carey is good enough to outdo Langford. And if Jordan Howard can't play, Langford's the guy. It's sad to say, but he is. And that's pretty much it for the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'll see you all in the next one. Peace out.